Have you ever found yourself wondering how you'd really know if a man truly loves you? I'm not talking about the words he says or the gifts he gives on birthdays. I mean the kind of love that runs deep. The kind of love that shows up in quiet ways, in the moments no one else sees. If you've ever been in a relationship where the words "I love you" were spoken often, but didn't seem to match the actions, you're not alone. And if you're in the later seasons of your life, you've probably learned that real love has less to do with grand gestures and more to do with the little things, the everyday ways someone shows they truly care. That's what we're going to talk about today. Because when a man truly loves a woman, there are things he does instinctively, sincerely, and sometimes even silently. Things he might not even realize he's doing, but you'll feel them all the same. And the beauty of it is, these signs of love aren't flashy or loud. They're honest, thoughtful, and deeply human. Now, if you've ever felt confused about how a man in your life truly feels, or if you're just hoping to recognize what real love looks like if and when it comes again, this conversation is for you. These signs aren't about flowers or candlelit dinners. They're about presence, about consistency, about the quiet choices that reveal what's in a man's heart. Let's talk about something simple but powerful: how a man touches you. Not just in the romantic way, but in the everyday way. A hand on your back as you walk into a room. A gentle brush of your hair behind your ear when you're reading or cooking. A hug that lingers just a second longer than necessary because he doesn't want to let go. A man who truly loves you will reach for you without even thinking. Not to possess you or show you off, but because touching you feels like home. There's a kind of wordless safety in the way his hand finds yours in a crowded room, like he's grounding himself by being near you. That kind of touch isn't about desire alone. It's about connection, about feeling close to you, emotionally as well as physically. When a man loves you, he doesn't need a reason to be near. He just needs to be close, and that quiet magnetism is one of the clearest signs of genuine love. You'll also notice it in how he listens. Really listens. Not the distracted kind where he nods while looking at his phone, or just waits for his turn to speak. No, I'm talking about the kind of listening that feels like being seen. When you speak, he looks at you. His face softens. He asks questions, remembers details, circles back later to check in about something you mentioned offhandedly the week before. When a man loves you, your voice is music to him, not because of how it sounds, but because it's yours. He listens not out of obligation, but because he genuinely wants to know what's going on in your heart. And that kind of attention, it doesn't come from duty. It comes from devotion. Now I know relationships aren't always easy, especially the longer we live and the more we've been through. Maybe you've had a partner in the past who tuned you out, or maybe you're learning to trust someone new. Wherever you are, I want you to know this. Love doesn't mean never arguing. In fact, love sometimes shows up the clearest during conflict. When a man truly cares, disagreements don't become battlefields. He doesn't try to win or tear you down. He doesn't raise his voice just to make a point. Instead, he stays present. He listens. He might not always get it right, who does? But he shows you through his tone, his words, and his effort that he's on your side, even when you don't see eye to eye. That's a man who fights for the relationship, not against it. That's love, not the perfect, polished kind, but the patient, growing kind. The kind that says, I may not understand you right now, but I'm not going anywhere. And when no one else is looking, when it's just the two of you and life is quiet, you'll see it in the way he looks at you. Not with lust or possession, but with a kind of stillness. That look says, I see you. I appreciate you. I love who you are. It's in those small private moments, maybe when you're laughing over coffee or just sitting together watching the sunset, that you'll notice it. His eyes soften. His shoulders relax. He looks at you like you matter more than anything else in the world. And in that moment, you do. Because to him, you're not just a partner. You're a presence, a piece, a person he genuinely cherishes. What's most important to remember is that real love isn't always easy to spot if you're only looking for the loud stuff. It hides in the gentle touches, the thoughtful silence, the way someone chooses you again and again, even when life gets messy or complicated. And for those of us who are older, who've loved and maybe lost, or are learning to love again, it helps to be reminded that love doesn't expire. It doesn't fade with age. In fact, it can get deeper, truer, stronger. Because when a man has lived some life, when he's learned what really matters, he knows that love isn't just what you say. It's what you do. Let's keep going. When a man truly loves you, he'll protect you. Not in the overbearing, dramatic way that makes you feel small or helpless, but in a way that says, you don't have to face this world alone. He'll stand by you, not just when things are going well, but when things feel uncertain, or when others may not treat you with the kindness and respect you deserve. You'll notice it in the way he steps in when someone speaks to you harshly, or how he won't let others diminish your worth, even if it's subtle. He doesn't sit silently while someone takes a jab at you. He speaks up, not out of pride or ego, but out of love. Because to him, you're not just someone he cares about, you're someone he honors. And that kind of protection, that quiet readiness to defend your heart and your dignity, is one of the clearest signs that his love runs deep. But it goes even further than that. A man in love will find you beautiful, not just when you're dressed up for dinner or smiling in perfect light, but in the everyday moments when you might not even feel that way yourself. When your hair is a mess and you're in old sweatpants, when you're tired, grumpy, or just not feeling your best, he sees through all that. He sees the spark in your eyes, the kindness in your voice, the strength in your soul. To him, your beauty isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about who you are, your laugh, your resilience, the way you care. That kind of love doesn't fade. It doesn't depend on age or style or how you look in the mirror on any given day. It sees you, all of you, and calls it beautiful, over and over again. You'll also know a man truly loves you when you notice he starts doing things he never used to do, simply because it matters to you. Maybe he wasn't the kind of man who liked dancing or going to art shows or taking long drives with no destination. But then you came along, and suddenly those things matter. Because you matter. It's not about giving up who he is, it's about growing. About expanding his world because you're in it. You might be surprised when he agrees to watch your favorite show, even though he swore he'd never get into that kind of thing. Or how he learns to make your favorite dish even though he's never been much of a cook. These small shifts, these thoughtful compromises, are his way of saying, I want to be where you are. I want to understand the things you love. I want to walk alongside you, not just when it's easy, but in all the moments that build a life together. And it's not just about the things he does. It's about what he feels, especially when you're hurting. You see, when a man is truly in love, your pain is not just yours anymore. He carries it with you. He might not have the perfect words, and he might not be able to fix everything, but he'll be there. When you're overwhelmed, when you're worried, when your heart is heavy, he doesn't turn away. He doesn't brush it off or tell you to just stay positive. No, he listens. He holds your hand. He sits beside you quietly if that's what you need. His empathy becomes your refuge. He feels your emotions not as an outsider, but as someone deeply connected to you. Someone who wants to shoulder the load, even when he can't carry it for you. That kind of emotional intimacy is rare, and when you find it, it's something to hold on to. One of the most beautiful signs of a man's love, especially as we grow older and wiser, is how much he respects your mind. He doesn't just love you for your warmth or your smile. He loves the way you think, the way you see the world. When he's wrestling with a tough decision or uncertain about something in his life, you're the one he turns to. Not just for comfort, but for wisdom. He asks for your advice not out of habit, but because he genuinely values your opinion. He knows that your life experience, your insight, your honesty, they all add something meaningful to his world. And the way he listens, the way he considers what you say, shows that to him, you are not just a partner, you are his equal, his confidant, the person he trusts with his truth. When a man truly loves you, being near you becomes one of the most important parts of his day, even if you're just sitting together in silence. He doesn't need constant entertainment. He doesn't need to be out and about. Sometimes just being next to you on the couch while reading the paper or drinking coffee feels like enough. It's not about doing something. It's about being close to you, soaking in the peace and comfort of your presence. That stillness, that quiet closeness, is where the real magic happens. You don't have to fill the space with noise. The love is already there, in the glance across the room, in the shared quiet, in the knowledge that this is what home feels like now. So much of what real love looks like is invisible to others. It's not broadcast for the world to see. It's not always loud or obvious. But if you pay attention, you'll feel it. In the way he protects you, in the way he adapts for you, in how deeply he listens, how much he values your thoughts, how simply he enjoys just being near you. These aren't things men do for just anyone. They're things they do when they've truly given their heart. And if you're seeing this in someone in your life, take a deep breath. You've found something rare, something that doesn't always come with fireworks or fairy tales, but with grace, with loyalty, with quiet, unwavering devotion. Let's keep going. There's something quietly extraordinary about a man who shows up for you, not just in the easy moments, but in the hard ones too. When a man truly loves you, he doesn't wait for you to ask. He simply does. He anticipates your needs before you've even voiced them. If something matters to you, your comfort, your peace of mind, your safety, it matters to him. Whether it's driving across town just to pick up your favorite dessert, fixing the little things around the house you've been meaning to get to, or sitting with you during a doctor's appointment, he'll do anything for you. Not because he has to, because he wants to. His actions speak what words can't always say. You matter to me. I've got your back. I'm in this with you. This kind of love doesn't keep score. It doesn't wait for recognition. It's just there, steady, unshakable. And the beauty of it? It builds over time. Because with every choice, every quiet favor, every gentle act of service, he's creating something more than a relationship. He's creating a foundation. A safe place for you both to stand, especially as life continues to unfold in unexpected ways. And when conflict arises, as it will, even in the strongest bonds, the man who truly loves you doesn't fight to win. He fights for you, for both of you. He doesn't let pride get in the way of peace. He doesn't shut down or walk away. Instead, he leans in. He listens. He works through it with you, because what you share is more important than any disagreement. His goal isn't to be right, it's to be connected. And that kind of humility, that quiet strength, that's what makes love last. You'll also see it in the way he sees you, even after all these years. There's something about that gaze, isn't there? It's softer now, but deeper. It carries more meaning than it did when everything was shiny and new. Maybe the two of you have been together for decades, or maybe you found one another later in life, when you both knew a bit more about what love truly requires. Either way, that look that says, "You are my person," it doesn't fade with time. It only grows stronger. He sees you through eyes that have weathered storms, that know what's worth holding on to. And you, exactly as you are, in this season of life, are still the most beautiful thing in his world. You might notice that he's not trying to change you. He's not comparing you to anyone else or wishing you were different. He accepts you, your past, your scars, your moods, your hopes. He loves your strength, but he also loves your vulnerability. And in his presence, you don't feel like you have to pretend. You can just be fully, freely, and completely yourself. And that, my friend, is one of the most powerful things a man can give a woman. The space to be real, to be human, to be loved, just as she is. If you're watching this and thinking, I've never had this kind of love, I want you to know, it's not too late. You are not too old. You are not too much. You are not too little. Love doesn't follow a schedule. It doesn't expire when we reach a certain age. In fact, some of the deepest, truest loves happen later in life, when we've stopped performing and started showing up as who we really are. And if you have someone like this in your life, someone who gives their love through action, presence, and consistency, take a moment to let that in. That's no ordinary love. That's rare. That's precious. That's worth celebrating. And if you're still waiting for it, don't settle. Don't quiet your heart just to fit someone else's expectations. The right person will see you, hear you, cherish you, not in the ways that the world celebrates, but in the ways that truly matter. He will protect your peace. He will find joy in your joy. He will lean into the relationship when things get tough. And most importantly, he will show you, day after day, that love doesn't have to be loud to be strong. Sometimes the quietest loves are the most powerful. So, as we wrap up this time together, I want you to take a deep breath and reflect. Maybe you're smiling because this reminds you of the man by your side right now. Maybe your heart is aching because you once had this kind of love and you miss it deeply. Or maybe you're feeling hopeful. Hopeful that love like this is still possible, still out there, still waiting to find you. Whatever your story, I want you to remember this. You are worthy of the kind of love that shows up, that listens, that holds you when you're tired and laughs with you when you're free. Love is not about age, beauty, or perfection. It's about the quiet ways we care for one another every single day. And if you've experienced that, even once, you've already touched something sacred. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which part of this message spoke to you most? Do you recognize some of these signs in your own relationship? Or maybe you're still waiting and holding on to hope. Share your thoughts in the comments below, not just for me, but for others in this community who may need a little encouragement today. We're all walking this journey together. And if you found comfort, clarity, or inspiration in this video, don't forget to give it a like. It helps more than you know. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new message of wisdom, encouragement, or love. Here's to you, to your strength, your heart, and your beautiful, ever-unfolding story. You deserve a love that feels like home. And whether you've already found it, or it's still on its way to you, may you never stop believing in its power. Until next time, take care of yourself. You are deeply, truly loved.